by Shahrzad Khorsandi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Shahrzad's presentation is titled Analytical versus Intuitive Dance Practice. Is pedagogical learning the result of colonization? Shahrzad is an Iranian-born, globally recognized dancer and choreographer with a master's degree in creative arts from SFSU. She's a co-founder of Iranian Dance Academy, artistic director of Shahrzad Dance Company, and a teaching artist for youth in arts and young imaginations. She's the author of the book, The Art of Persian Dance, and a member of an international research team studying the effects of dance on the psyche and the brain. So, thank you, Shahrzad. You can go ahead.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. I'm going to jump right in because I know our time is short. In the recent past, meaning 20th, 21st century, there's been a lot of influence of ballet in Iranian dance. So this particular style of or genre of Iranian dance that's considered non-folkloric, and it's a staged form of it. And during this time of decolonization, it's a good idea to start to look at what part of what we see today in this dance style is a result of that influence of ballet, and what parts are just maybe globalization and even evolution. So historically, Iranian dance traditionally has been taught by immersion and in a very intuitive way without the use of any pedagogy or any systematic teaching. And sometimes when we're decolonizing, we tend to see any form of codification or any form of systematized teaching as a Western influence and therefore a result of colonization. So in the short time that we have, I'd like to teach you a movement phrase in a traditional Iranian dance form and try to attempt to teach you in both ways, the intuitive way and an analytical way. And then at the end, have a little discussion of what your experience was comparing the two, and basically question and study whether when you teach in an analytical way, does that take something away from that essential cultural flavor, or does it actually help to grab those little nuances that you may otherwise not be able to, because immersion isn't always possible, right? So jumping right in, I'm going to turn on some music. We're going to listen to this music and just feel the rhythm. So please try it. You don't have to have your cameras on, but I'd really like you to try this on your body. Can you hear the music, everybody? Yeah, okay. So listening to this music, try to find the beat. And just sort of walk to it, let the beat into your bodies. And we're just going to curl the hands, let the shoulders move. Let the hips just kind of loosen up and wiggle underneath you. And you can turn the hands either way. And now you're going to push out, lifting one heel up, push away. And now pushing downward. I'm going to turn around this way so you can see in the mirror. All right, bring the hands down. like this. Very smooth. Switching back and forth. Now the music is speeding up. Okay, relax the hands for a minute. We're going to play a different song. Same genre of music. So here's the beat. Going back to the wrist. Let's take the hands up towards your face. And here, we're going to move the head side to side like this. Just the head. Right on the beat. Good. And one more time, let's practice pushing away. And then pushing down. Okay. So if there was more time, we would repeat this more. Now, follow me. We're going to do all these movements that we just did. And when I say next movement, or push out or push down, you just follow with me. We're going to do this to a different song. So let's listen to the song for a minute, just to get used to it. Here's the beat. Okay? Okay, here we go. I'm going to face this way. Curling the hands, arms going up. Pushing out. Pushing down. Now the wrists. Now the head. And pushing out. And push down. And stop. Okay. So let's do it again. This time, I won't say push out. I'll just say next move, and we'll just go through it. Next move. Next. Next move. Next move. And next. And next. And stop. Okay. Switching to a more analytical way of teaching the same movement phrase. So this music that we're listening to, if your ears aren't familiar with this type of music, it may be very challenging. It's a 6/8 rhythm. So the whole time you're hearing the music, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like a meter going tack, 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 tack underneath it. With the accent, the main accent being on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but we often double it up. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The main accent is still on the 1. Right? So let's listen. When the drums come in. Yeah. And what's tricky is that the first note of the melody doesn't always fall on the first beat. It often falls afterwards. So the beat actually is a silent beat. It starts before the melody, and that really messes people up. So go back to the first song just to get practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to go with that beat. Boom, boom. The pulse is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same with the other song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. Yeah, and that's a really tough one because the melody starts on the 4, 5, 6 of the previous bar. So you're going 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So main thing is to try to find that and catch that and keep that pulse no matter what the melody does going through the beat, and match the pulse of your movement with the pulse in the music. So first thing we're doing, gardune. Gardune is a turning wheel so that we're making circles. It's all in the wrist and the fingers need to be loose so that we really see all this motion, right? If you keep the hands flat, it doesn't have that effect. We want a lot of expression in the hands. You can turn this way, this inward, or outward, away from you. And we're doing this with yek-gam feet. Yek means one, gam is step. So there's one action of the foot, one, and then you switch to the other side, basically walking in place. And the hips are loose, so they can go in either direction. You can go same hip and same foot like this, or you can go opposite foot and hip. So either way is okay. Just let your hips be loose and go with the movement. And you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the beat in the music. Da, 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 da. The body is nice and loose. Everything is a whole body experience, right? We don't separate everything. And then while we're doing this, gardune, and slowly lift up the arms, lift up the spine, like you have the whole world in your arms. And then from here, we're going to go into del roba. Del means heart, roba is taking. So something that takes your heart away. This movement, del roba, this pushing movement, has a lot of cultural flavor in it. There are a lot of little nuances in it. You're pushing away, you never straighten the arm, keep it curved like that. And the line of the body is super important because you're going up and over 45 degrees in the head, which is you see in a lot of paintings. And the idea is, some people call this koi, like a very feminine koi movement. Sometimes the shoulder goes up like that. So it's kind of like saying, pushing someone away, like, oh, I don't want you, don't talk to me. But you're not pushing them away this way, you're still looking at them. So it has a lot of implications. It's a complex movement, part of this complex culture. And there's a gardune right here. So you're doing a little gardune pretty quickly, and then just drop into the movement. So this is more like a breathing in and, right? So the main part of the movement is the push. And the elbow is not lifted this way, because otherwise the hand would go like that. So you drop the elbow and you push away, making sure you don't straighten the arm all the way. And what the feet are doing, this is dogam. Do means two. So it's two actions of the feet. So I'm going touch, step, touch, step, touch, step, touch, step. Same foot that touches, that hand pushes out. And it's all about the body line. Masculine version of this is this way, out, out with tension in the neck, looking straight at the hand like that. This is the more feminine, traditionally feminine body line. All right, so we go Dilruba out, and then same movement, Dilruba, and you keep the feet going, but instead of pushing out, you push down the body. But same idea, you don't straighten all the way. Push down, and the head falls over the shoulder. So we get that nice spinal curve again. Okay, so Dilruba out, Dilruba down. All right, now the wrist thing that we did, this is Abshar. Abshar means waterfall, and this comes from the sagittal plane version of the movement that goes this way. When you come down, it looks like a waterfall. So this is turning into the frontal plane. Same idea with the wrists going away from each other and pulling and pulling and pulling. Lots of wrists. But it's a whole body movement. So you want your spine to be fluid and to go with this wrist motion here. So if we had more time, I'd get more into the details of exactly what the spine is doing, but we'll leave it at that for now. And we're going to go up, up, up. When you get to your face, this is Ru Nama. Ru means face, Nama means showing or showcasing. So you're framing your face. The upper hand mimicking the curve of the top of the head, and the lower hand mimicking the curve of the chin, like you're framing your face. And usually you look a little bit to the side, about 45 degrees. Again, it's a very common angle. You see it in Persian paintings a lot, and it gives it a certain flavor. And then it kind of becomes a more of a whole body experience where you feel that shift in your spine, in your torso, in your hips. You can even lift the heel up. So this is Runama, Abshar, into Runama, and then Tak Sad. Tak, the word tak means by itself. Sad is head. So Tak Sad means the head moving by itself, isolating the head. So we're going, there are different variations of Tak Sad. This is Tak Sad soft, which means you're going straight. Soft means straight to one side and the other. One good way to practice it is to have the arms up and imagine trying to touch your inner arm with your ears. Okay, so we'll do that. All right, so we have Gardune with Yagam, and we're going to do this for 6 beats. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go right into Dilruba, pushing out on the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then downward 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then from here, we're going to bring the arm down and go right into Abshar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we'll stop here and we'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then all we're going to do is repeat Dilruba again. So go back to Dilruba, out 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll stop with a nice spinal curve body line there. Okay, this is a crash course. Let's do this with music. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So everything is in 4 beats except the beginning movement with Gardone that's in 6 beats. Let's do it again this time. I won't count, but I'll just call out the names of the movements so you can associate the name of the movement with the movement itself. Gardone with Diego. Deroba out. Deroba down. Up sharp. Taxa. Deroba out. Deroba down. Okay. Now let's just do it without me saying anything and really listen for that beat. Okay, I think I'm doing really well on time. I was rushing, trying to make sure I don't run over. 20, okay, so I think I have like extra 5 minutes. So we can either just start discussing now, or if there's anything anyone wants me to repeat, well, here's what I would ask for questions and clarifications needed for in terms of technique. So if anyone has questions about any part of the movements that I taught you and want me to analyze it, or the music, you can ask that in relation to the sequence that I just taught before we go into the discussion.
I just have a question. I was wondering if you could repeat the names.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just the names without doing it with music and during the movement, or
that's okay. Whatever feels comfortable to you.
Okay, okay, I'll do both. So Gardune means a turning wheel. It's an old Persian word, so it's like an eternal wheel that just keeps turning and turning because there's no beginning or end, right? It's a cycle. This type of dance is very cyclical. So Gardune, Garduneh. And it can go different directions. You can do one hand and then the other. They don't always have to go at the same time. Sometimes we'll do a half a Gardune. Okay. Yek gam. So yek, do, se. 1, 2, 3. That's just Persian for 1, 2, 3. Yek means one. Gam is step. So yek gam is one step. And that's the walking in place. So now you just go step, step. And you can travel with that. You could go in a circle, or you can just do it in place. Okay. Do gam means 2 steps or 2 actions of the feet. So make sure you understand that it doesn't mean it's 2 beats, right? It's 2 actions of the feet. Because sometimes we'll do segam, which is 3 actions of the feet, but we do it within 2 beats. We'll go 1 and 2. So it's not always, it's not musically 1 beat, 2 beats, or 3 beats. It's the actions, the number of actions that the feet do. So dogam means the feet do 2 things. In this case, it's a dogam touch front step. There are different versions of it. Touch front step. So this is dogam. And with this dogam, there's a pulse. It goes up. There's a pulsating up, 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 like that. Sometimes we'll do it half time. We'll go up, like that. Maybe if it's a slow song, it has more of a legato quality. Like that. But with this style of music and dance, where we're accentuating both the 1 and the 4, we're going da 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 da. We want to accent both of those in our body, so that we're going da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going up as you touch the foot, and up as the feet come together. So I know I'm getting more into technique. You wanted the names. This is dogam. And then del roba. Del roba. Del is heart. Roba is, like ahan roba is a magnet, right? Ahan is iron, metal, and roba is like, so it's like a heart magnet, something that just takes your heart away. And so it's this kind of very meant to be adorable. There's a word naz that you can look up that's really hard to translate, but it's a part of the Persian culture, and it's an attitude that a lot of times you portray in the traditional dances, and this is one of the movements that really portrays that naz really well. And so del roba, whether you go out or down, and sometimes we go across the body like that, del roba. Abshar, A-B-S-H-A-R. Abshar is the waterfall that today we're doing in the frontal plane. Abshar. And then tak sad. Tak, 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 sad, head. And there are different variations of that. This is a tak sad. This is a tak sad, down, up, or figure 8, right? So any way you isolate the head. Tak shane would be an isolation of the shoulders. Tak basan, isolating the hips, like that. So tak is when you do something by itself, an individual thing. I think that's all the vocabulary that we did today. So this is all my format. So I, with the help of linguists and other people, came up with this nomenclature that's in my book. So it's not a national, standard or anything like that, because there is no such thing. The Iranian dance has not been codified in an official way. So this has been my attempt to begin to codify this, because it makes it so much easier to teach. Once you really learn the nomenclature and learn the technique, it just, everything goes faster. And when you think del roba, you just sort of put all the components together and do it. So yeah, so my thought is that sometimes we mix together codified teaching and analysis with a colonized way of teaching. And maybe sometimes it is, but it's not always like that. And I think I am delighted and absolutely ecstatic that we are doing this decolonization. It's, long in coming, and I'm really happy, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. And I just want to also make sure that as we decolonize, that we really look at the nuances, and to make sure that in some cases we don't actually hinder the progress of our own cultural dance, because we're so worried about infusion of other things and influence of other things, Western influence, that we actually don't evolve in a globalized way and make use of tools that can actually be helpful. So really seeing the difference between tools that are helpful to really teach the essence of what's still very much Iranian and traditional, versus letting go of some of those traditions and replacing them with other aesthetics, because to me that is more of a result of colonization, is the aesthetics shifting, saying, oh, that's ugly because your foot isn't pointed, or why is your elbow dropped down like that? It should be lifted, you know. Like, no, that's changing the aesthetics. But the way you teach something and the fact that you have a nomenclature for it, and you have counts and things like that, or you're doing body awareness type of technique in your training, it doesn't necessarily take away from the traditional dance. That's my argument and my question to you today, to think about that and share your thoughts. And now we can officially move to the Q&A. Or thoughts. You don't have to ask questions. You can also just share your thoughts, your experience in this, the two ways that I taught today in this short time. No questions, no comments? I would love to hear back from some of you, what you thought. Did it get more confusing? I'll ask the questions. How about that? Did it get more confusing as I started to say the names and all the counts and things? Was it in some ways easier to just follow along because there's so much new information in this short amount of time? Or was it actually helpful to connect something?
I'm currently formulating my question, or
Okay.
not question, but maybe an opinion or idea. But kind of going off of what you were just saying, it's really, for me to like think or conceptualize of something, it does help for me to have like a framing or a grounding or like that kind of background information as you're like describing the movements and talking about like what their names are and what they mean. I think that helps me in a lot of ways picture how my body reacts or engages when we can like put it to something that is familiar, like the idea of the wheel. And though I'm horrible with people's names, so like remembering names of moves will also be like a bit more of a adjustment for me to learn. Having that at least conceptualization of like, this is kind of like a wheel, or this is kind of like a magnet, or something, like having that helps me position the movements in a way that my body understands them a little bit more, like where it's supposed to be going or the action that it's supposed to be taking. And so I think having that kind of familiarity and having that naming convention that also, you know, identifies some sort of action or engagement that happens that we can recognize in the outside world is really useful for me in trying to be like, oh, this is like how the movement's supposed to go. And then I can also, for me, I've been able to relate it slightly to like some of the Vogue presentation, like the voguing dance that I do. So in Vogue film, there are like those concepts of how you like move your wrist or move your arms, kind of like turning a wheel or turning a knob. There are concepts of like how we frame our face. And so having those like relational terms and having those relational ideas help me understand it into something else that I already do, and go, okay, this is what this is what my goal is. This is how I'm supposed to be like framing my body in a sense, or this is like what I'm trying to convey. Yeah. I think that was super helpful in me learning the movements as you went through them.
Okay, that makes sense. Imagery helps a lot, and the fact that it's a different language, so you're not only just learning names of movements, you're learning a language, because you don't know what Dilruba means, but a Farsi speaker would understand Dilruba, right? Or abshar, waterfall, like, so those are regular words. So for someone who speaks the language within that culture, it would be a different experience, right? So, but maybe the English translation of it, if you think waterfall, right? So that imagery helps. Thank you for that feedback. I think Delcy had a question.
Yeah, my question is related to the teaching method, and that you introduced this idea that we don't really lose the essence of the dance, or that's the argument, that we don't lose the essence of the dance. I'm curious to know, I know that this came a lot out of you teaching non-Iranians. I'm wondering what influence in the teaching method, has your introduction of nomenclature had any impact at all for Iranian teachers still teaching dance in Iran? Because I know that you're well known there as well. Are they adopting some of your teaching methods? And do you think, or do they, maybe they don't feel like that they're trying to still hang on to some of the old teaching methods? How do they integrate that, if you have that answer?
There are a number of them that really find this helpful. And luckily I have an ebook version that I can send to them, because I can't send my hardcover book over there. For those of you who don't know, the public display of dance by women, and even the word dance, is not allowed under the regime. A lot of it is underground. And I've taught some workshops underground there. So there are a lot of dancers of this style that do use my technique and the nomenclature, and I've gotten really good feedback that it's made their teaching a lot easier, because they don't have to say this one, or go this way, look at this one, that one, or some dancers name it, and, movement number 34, so it does make it easier. And again, like the previous gentleman was saying, the imagery really helps. And yeah, for me, this has come out of my experience of teaching non-Iranians, because I do a lot of this, I do all of it intuitively. And, I would teach and just say, okay, just push the hand away, or just turn your head. And I would see that people are like, okay, turn your head. And I'm like, no, that's not how you turn your head. You turn your head like this, and then I had to stop and analyze it. So it came from a place of that was intuitive. And then I analyzed it and said, what am I doing that looks different? Oh, I'm really doing this. When I turn my head, I'm actually lifting and rotating and tilting all at the same time. And it's like 45 degrees. And then look at this painting, and look at that, and look at that, and comparing all the arts, and really getting a sense of that aesthetic theme that runs across all Iranian arts, to really get a grounded sense of it. And so for me, the analysis has helped immensely. And even some Iranians don't necessarily intuit or can embody those little details. Maybe they understand it when they see it, they recognize it, but breaking it down and bit by bit embodying the parts really helps them. And I think there was one person that said, I'll go after Delcy, I think.
Yes. I'm going to try to formulate this as well as I can. But just thinking about the subtle difference there was between the two ways that you taught us the movements. Words that you just said now came to mind with intuition, your personal history, like body archive, and also the language in which you're teaching, both like literally as in you're speaking English, because maybe that also changes things, and then also the context, like geographically and cultural context. I'm not sure if I'm struggling right now to find a word to describe certain differences, or rather whether one felt more than the other. I will say that in the first experience, I felt perhaps slightly more freedom, but that also maybe is connected to my own relationship with being taught in certain frameworks. But I also recognize the acknowledgement for structure and kind of really dissecting things, and even dissecting like names, especially when you're teaching outside of the context in which this dance was birthed. And I think it can really help to give more of an appreciation, a larger appreciation as well. That was just what I felt. I don't think there was a better way.
That's great. Actually, improvisation is the key. That's what I've noticed. Like students in Iran who are also teachers, the way they teach is a lot through improvisation, even when they use the nomenclature and try to analyze the movement. I think that's what's probably the freedom that you're feeling. It's like that with music too. Do I just read the notes and play what I'm supposed to play, or do I improvise? And it uses different parts of the brain, because there are people who are amazing at one and are awful at the other, because you really have to shift gears. And so using improvisation as a strong component in analytical teaching, I think would really bridge that gap. So thank you for reminding me of that. That was a good point. Okay. How are we doing on time? Any other questions, or am I out of time? Are we good? I know we're very structured today, so I have to very non-traditional Iranian. It's not Iranian time.
You have about 3 minutes. So
okay. Okay, excellent. Any other questions or comments, suggestions?
I want to say that the fact of the name is, for me, is not just make easier to learn, that it is, but also like to understand in a deeper way. Like the fact that you gave name that meaning something, it's like connect more with the where the dance come from. I don't know, for the and it helped to create an imagination. So, and it helped to really connect with a word. I don't know, and not just simply with the movement. So I think I find it interesting.
Thank you. Yes, it's imagery. Imagery is really important.
Yes, exactly.
That's part of one of the things that I'm helping with, with the group of researchers to study the brain, is how important imagery is in learning and embodying dance movements.
Yes.
So the name, you're right, because I very carefully selected these names. I would record myself doing the dance. I would think about all the elements. I would describe those elements, like what stands out to me about the movement. And I would send all that to my linguist friend in Iran, who has a PhD in old Iranian languages. And he would give me suggestions of like ancient words sometimes, or, Farsi words, and even sometimes just friends and family, just saying, hey, these are the qualities. What does that make you think of, And then, so it's all about imagery, really. The nomenclature helps with that. Yeah, very good.
And the other question is about time. How would be the time in Iranian?
When we say Iranian time, it's like when you get together, get there at 8 o'clock, like someone will walk in at 8:45, someone else come in 9:30. So traditionally, right? So we're, as a culture, we're working on kind of tightening things up, but it's still having this like start at 7:55. It's like, okay, 8-ish. We'll start, and it's like, okay, time's up. But by the way, and you just kind of keep going. And my husband is not Iranian, and we have this joke about 20-minute goodbyes. Every time we get up to go, it takes us 20 minutes to go from the time we get up to going out the door. And even if we see each other, twice a week or something, it's still a 20-minute goodbye. So there's this, and it's interesting, I know I'm running out of time, but it's interesting because when you think of the music and the dance movements, there's always this sort of easing into something and easing out, right? And that has to do with that cyclical ra-da-da-dee-da-da, as opposed to bump, 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 right? So we want to just live our lives in that kind of just flow in and flow out. There is no, there's a pulse there, but around the pulse, there's going up the hill, there's the peak, and then down the hill, and there's, the pulse is at the top or the bottom. Anyway.
No, I'm asking because with these things in mind, that like the coloniality is not just change the content, but really the term of the conversation. And so the idea, like if we are doing a conference about the coloniality, how we can do a decolonial conference instead of a conference about the coloniality. And so not pretend that the way that we are used to do things is the best way to do it. And so I think that a further discussion can be like to lead into the next conferences, or like in general. I'm personally, it's not something that we discussed with the team, but I'm personally interested in really how we can not take it for granted our way to do things, for example, a conference. And so what can be a conference and how can be organized time and a lot of people from different parts of the world to stay together and to do this that we are doing, but which other possibilities there are to do this. So this is why I was
interesting. Yeah, that's a tough one, because sometimes great things happen in doing things that way, and it may take longer, but an amazing thing will come out of it. But you're right, it's not the way we're used to doing things in the West. It's like it will be wasting a lot of time.
Thank you, everyone, so much for the really insightful discussion, and thank you for your amazing workshop.